Hello and welcome to Spardha Lines, your one-stop destination for the civil services preparation. We have picked up a couple of important articles from the Hindu, Indian Express and Deccan Herald. We have also started with the new initiative of practice questions, primarily keeping in focus the upcoming KPSC examination so that you are groomed, molded and you know what are the kind of questions that can be anticipated from your examination point. So what are you waiting for? Hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share it with your fellow aspirants as well. Let's get started and look into the first MCQ and the first article for the day. Which one of the following schedules of the Constitution of India contains provisions regarding anti-defection? 8th schedule, 9th schedule, 10th schedule, 11th schedule. The answer to this is 10th schedule. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here is speaking about anti-defection law. It also speaks about the speaker's powers as well, and it also makes a mention about how a political party will become a right political party or a political party not recognized by the speaker. What do we understand by this? Let's understand this article in greater detail. First, we have to understand the concept of what is anti-defection law. Let's say, for example, I am elected as an MLA. No, I'm not elected as an MLA, but I'm just giving you an example. Let's say I am elected as an MLA from one of the political parties, let's say a political party. The political party's name is A. So I am elected as a member of Legislative Assembly from this political party. So what is the idea? The idea is that I want to become a minister. I want to become a cabinet minister. Now there are two viewpoints here. One, let's say for example, this person from political party A is going and contesting an election from the ticket of political party A, wins the election, but this political party A does not get the majority. So because it does not get the majority, I have a perception, I have a viewpoint that I want to become a cabinet minister. So what do? I change my political party from political party A to political party B, which means that I have won as an MLA, but since my political party is not in power, I also want to become a cabinet minister. This political party has offered me a role that I can become a cabinet minister. So I leave political party A and then I move to political party B is what is called as defection. So what is defection here? Defection is when I get elected from one of the political parties, but I do not remain with that political party, but political party because they are giving me money, or because they are avoiding me monetary benefits, or because they are giving me a cabinet position. So I move from one political party into another political party is what is called as defection. So whenever there is a defection, either they have offered me monetary benefits or position, or position, I move from one political party to another. Despite being elected from one political party, I move to another political party. So I'm moving away from the political party that I have won. So this is what is called as defection. Or for example, let's say even if the government has got the majority, let's say the political party has got the majority, but what if they have just one seat? For example, let's say the majority that they have to get is about 70, or let's say 71 is the majority that they have to get. Now I wish to become a cabinet minister, but what exactly happens? This political party A, which has got the majority, I mean just one number extra, now says that I am not eligible to become the cabinet minister because there are senior most MLAs who are present. So I'm frowning, I'm not happy with this particular move taken by my political party. So what do? I'll make sure that this political party collapses. I, along with 2 or 3 others, we move out of this political party, we defect to another political party and say that we might have been elected from political party A, but we are not happy with the political party A, but instead we will go to political party B. So I bring along with me 2 other people so that this political party does not get the majority, but instead political party B gets the majority. So what would happen? This A political party will not be able to form the government. So what have I done? I have moved to another political party. I have defected, which is what is called as defection. So what is defection? Defection basically means a person might have got elected on one of the candidature from a political party. He might have won a political party's contesting elections, but despite from this political party, he moves to another political party, so there is defection. So he is moving over, he is crossing the place, and that is what is called as defection. So whenever there is defection, what would happen? There will be anti-defection law that comes into picture. Where do we have the anti-defection law? It is present in the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So the 10th schedule speaks about the anti-defection law. And at the same time, when we speak about anti-defection law, what does it say? It says that if a person is a person who has won from a political party A, now moves to political party B, he will be disqualified. What do I mean by disqualified? It means that this person will be disqualified to become an MLA. So if I am elected as an MLA through political party A and then I happen to join hands with political party B, in that particular case, then this person will be disqualified. So he may have to contest the elections once again. There will be by-elections that will be taking place as well, because this person has been disqualified, and ultimately this person will be re-elected or not will depend on the by-election. So the minute he moves over, he passes on, or he defects to another political party, he will be disqualified as an MLA, and ultimately he has to recontest the elections, and if at all he wins the election, then it is a different ball game altogether. But what is the crux of it? The anti-defection law says that if he voluntarily moves from one political party on the basis of which he has won the elections, moves to another political party, he has defected, so he has to disqualify, and ultimately he has to contest the elections once over. That is one part. The other part of this anti-defection law says that we have something called as the party whip. Who is the party whip? A party whip is a person appointed by a political party. Now this party whip will also give instructions to the people. Who are these people? The MLAs and the MP. So there will be one person who will be appointed as a whip, and this person will issue instructions to the other members of the political party. Now the whip says that you have to vote for so and so. So there will be a bill that will be introduced in the legislature. So all of you from the political party A will have to vote for this particular bill. But what if there is one person who does not listen to the party whip? In that particular case as well, this person can be disqualified because he is not listening to the party whip. You have won on the candidature of a political party A, but you are disagreeing to the terms and conditions of the party. So in this particular case, if you do not listen to the political party's party whip, if you do not follow the directions issued by the political party's whip, even in that case, this person can also be disqualified as well. So what are the two parameters? One, he moves to another political party, gets disqualified. There is party whip. He also issues orders and issues directions, and also issues directions that they have to follow. If they do not follow, then even in that case they will be disqualified as well. So this is where anti-defection law comes into picture. But why are we discussing about the anti-defection law? When we speak about the anti-defection law, who decides it? It is the speaker who decides whether this person has to be disqualified or not. What happened in the state of Maharashtra? In the state of Maharashtra, when we look at the politics that is involved in this entire scenario, we have to look at ideologies. What happened? We had Congress, then we also had the another political party which was in an alliance. Then we have Shiv Sena, and then you also had the BJP which were in alliance. So Congress and NCP were in alliance, pre-poll alliance. Then you had Shiv Sena as well as BJP in the pre-poll alliance. But after the results came into picture, what happened? There was no clear-cut majority. BJP had about 100 odd seats. Then you had Shiv Sena which had also got about 50 odd seats. Then you had NCP which had got some numbers, and then you had Congress also had numbers. But then if Congress and NCP which had pre-poll alliance were not able to form the government, but then here they had clear-cut majority. The BJP and Shiv Sena had clear-cut alliance. But what did Shiv Sena want? Shiv Sena wanted to have a candidature, CM candidature. But this was not taken up easily by BJP. Why? Because we have won more than 100 seats. Ideally, we should have been the candidature for the chief minister's role. But then Shiv Sena was insisting that it wanted to have one of its members as the chief minister. So there were differences between both the political parties, BJP as well as Shiv Sena. So what does Shiv Sena do? Shiv Sena ignores this pre-poll alliance, and ultimately joins hands with Congress and NCP. These three political parties come together and ultimately they form the government. But Shiv Sena is ideologically different from Congress. Shiv Sena believes in a particular ideology. Its members or its MLAs have a particular ideology which is in complete contrast with the ideology of the NCP as well as Congress. Many allege, it is not me, but many feel that they had differences in their ideology, and as a result of which, despite forming the government, that is Congress, NCP and Shiv Sena coming to the power, many people, many MLAs were not happy within this particular ideology, because when you fought the election, you were fighting against the NCP, but now that you have won the elections, you come back and form this particular group and you form the government. So many within those who were elected, the Shiv Sena members who were elected, were not happy with this ideology, and so what do? There were two fractions within the Shiv Sena. One which was led by Uddhav Thackeray, that became one faction. The other faction was also led by Shinde as well, the current Chief Minister of Maharashtra. So what exactly happens? There were two groups within Shiv Sena. One happens to be led by Uddhav Thackeray, the other happens to be led by Eknath Shinde ji. So these two people ultimately say that they are the real face of the Shiv Sena. So Shiv Sena has a faction right now, it has seen a split, and then ultimately they go before the Supreme Court of India. They also earlier to coming before the Supreme Court of India, these people, Eknath Shinde as well as their party members, that is, there is a split, so they join hands with the BJP. Why do they join hands with the BJP? That is because they basically feel that they have an ideology. This ideology is not in line with what the ideology of the Congress and the NCP is, and the ideology is more in terms of what BJP stands for. So these two people, that is, there is a faction, a split that is led by Uddhav Thackeray ji as well as by the Eknath Shinde ji. So the faction that is led by Eknath Shinde ji, they join hands with BJP, and ultimately they say that they have more numbers. They ultimately will have to get the number, and they were ultimately able to show the numbers, and they form the government. And when they form the government, that is where Uddhav Thackeray ji brings it before the Supreme Court of India, and he says that this is the original Shiv Sena and this is not the Shiv Sena that we are looking at. So he says that these people will have to be disqualified under the anti-defection law. So a question was asked before the Supreme Court of India, who is the real Shiv Sena? Is it the one which is led by Uddhav Thackeray ji, or is it the one that is led by Eknath Shinde ji? So the Supreme Court looks into this entire issue and redirects the speaker that, dear speaker, it is you who has to decide on this entire situation, and ultimately you have to conclude whether it is Uddhav Thackeray ji's Eknath or Eknath Shinde ji's which happens to be the right Shiv Sena. So what is the basis or the premise on the which it recognizes whether it is the real Shiv Sena or not? When you look at Election Commission, how it has understood, what are the ways as to which, how it has decided in the past, there are two things that it looks into. One is the original constitution or the institutional constitution of a political party. One is that. One, it looks at the preamble or the objective of the political party, the original members of the political party, the governing council of the political party. That is one part. The other part is how many people are currently the MLAs or the MPs of that particular political party. Now, if you look into the Uddhav Thackeray ji's Shiv Sena, there are about as many as 14 odd MLAs. Then if you look at Eknath Shinde ji's, there are more than 40 odd MLAs. So what do we understand? That the number of MLAs who are present with Eknath Shinde ji are far in excess than what we see in Uddhav Thackeray ji's campaign or that particular splinter group. So ultimately the speaker was directed by the Supreme Court of India to look into it, decide on it and come to a conclusion. Who is the real Shiv Sena? Is it the one that is led by Uddhav Thackeray ji, or is it the one that is led by Eknath Shinde ji? So they ultimately come to a conclusion, that is, the speaker was issued directions by the Supreme Court that and ultimately now the speaker has come to a conclusion and he says that Uddhav Thackeray ji's group or the splintered group is not the real Shiv Sena, because the number of MLAs supporting Uddhav Thackeray is comparatively less. But when it comes to Eknath Shinde ji, the number of MLAs who have been selected are far in excess. They are greater than 40. So because they represent a larger chunk of MLAs supporting a particular group or an ideology or led by Eknath Shinde ji, they are the real Shiv Sena, says the speaker. So in a major huge setback to Uddhav faction, Rahul Narvekar, who happens to be the speaker, refuses to disqualify 13 MLAs from both the factions, citing lack of valid grounds. He does not disqualify them, but he goes on to say that the real Shiv Sena happens to be the Eknath Shinde led group. So what is that we have to understand from here? We did understand the speaker powers, we did understand what is anti-defection law. In all likelihood, this particular order made by the speaker, this opinion given by the speaker, will also be questioned before the Supreme Court of India, and this happens to be one of the rare landmark precedents that we will also see in the Supreme Court of India. We will have to wait and watch how the Supreme Court will look into this entire saga, and if at all it goes to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court does decide, we will take it up elaborately, because this happens to be one of the landmark scheme of things when it comes to the anti-defection law. Now let's look into the next article. Who among the following Bhakti saints did not belong to Saguna school of Bhakti movement? Guru Nanak, Ramanuja, Tulsidas as well as Surdas. Who among the following Bhakti saints did not belong to the Saguna school of Bhakti movement? So whom do we have? We have Ramanuja, we have Tulsidas, who have Surdas. Who among this does not belong to Saguna school? So the answer to this is Guru Nanak ji. So when it comes to the Bhakti movement, there are two schools of thought. One happens to be the Saguna school of thought. The other happens to be Nirguna. What is the difference between Saguna and Nirguna? When we speak about Saguna, what exactly happens? You have a personal deity. For example, if you ask me who is your favorite god or who is your personal god that you like, I would say Rama, I would say Krishna, I would say Lord Shiva, I would say Lord Ganesha, I would say Ayyappa, so on and so forth. So you have a Ishta Devata. You see God in a particular form. You see God as an idol. That is up to that person and that particular person's personal preferences. So all those people or gurus or individuals or people who are inclined towards the spiritual knowledge, if they feel that God has a form, God has a structure, God is based on a particular premise that he is an idol or he is something, has a supernatural power in the form of a form, those people who follow this line of thinking and spiritual attributes are called as people with the Saguna school of Bhakti movement. So when it comes to the Saguna school of Bhakti movement, we have gurus like Guru Ramanuja, then we have Tulsidas and we have Surdas who follow this kind of thought. So the Saguna school of thought basically believes that there is a form, and this particular form can be in the form of an idol, or there is a particular shape, or there is a personal preference. It can be Rama, it can be Krishna, it can be Lord Shiva, it can be Satyanarayana, it can be any other god in any other format. So this happens to be the Saguna school of thought. So according to the Saguna school of thought, in case you have a personal preference towards a god, you are inclined to have a deep concentration or you are inclined to have a particular thought process towards the god. If at all I am idolizing a god, I would be able to increase a spiritual knowledge. I would be able to communicate to that idol. I start seeing that idol. I start visualizing that idol. I see powers within that idol, and I also start communicating. This is a way that you feel that the idol is reciprocating back to you, you are reciprocating back to the idol. So there is a form that is attributed in the Saguna school of Bhakti movement. But when it comes to Nirguna, what does Nirguna say? Nirguna says that we do not have any form per se. So God does not have form. He is right in front of you. Even while I speak, I see the space before me. So God is formless, says the Nirguna school of Bhakti movement. So when it comes to Saguna school of Bhakti movement, it says there is a form, there is an idol. It helps you increase your concentration. You would be able to communicate with the God. But when it comes to Nirguna, there is no God in the form of an idol. There is no idol worship per se, but he is everywhere. He is formless, and that's the thought of Nirguna. So as part of an assignment, Guru Nanak ji happens to be from the Nirguna part. Who are the other gurus who follow this Nirguna school of thought is what you have to put on the comment section. So we did discuss about Saguna school of thought. If you feel that there are many other gurus who form part of this Saguna school of thought, put it on the comment section. If you feel that there are more gurus who are from the Nirguna school of thought, please put it on the comment section. Please take it as a serious exercise, because only when you do such assignments you will read more about it and you will be able to understand it better. Who are these gurus from these either schools is what you have to put on the comment section. Why did we speak about it? That is because this article on the Hindu speaks about Ramcharitamanas, and this was written by Tulsidas, and Tulsidas happens to be one of the gurus who follows the Saguna school of Bhakti movement. Guru Nanak Ji belongs to the Nirguna school of Bhakti movement. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to Drishti 10 Starliner unmanned air vehicle, which of the following statements are correct? It is an advanced intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance platform developed by Adani Defence and Aerospace. It boasts an impressive 36 hours of endurance and a substantial 450 kg payload capacity. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Both the statements given here are right. So what are we speaking about? We are speaking about UAV. What is a UAV? It is an unmanned air vehicle. Drishti 10 Starliner happens to be an unmanned air vehicle. Who is it designed by? It is designed and developed by Adani Defence and Aerospace. So this happens to be indigenously developed by Adani Defence and Aerospace. This happens to be very important from your preliminary examination point of view. So this UAV has an endurance of about 36 hours of endurance. What do we understand by this? A full charge of this unmanned air vehicle, it will be able to fly and will be able to collect the information, able to help in assisting the surveillance and reconnaissance in that particular area for as much as 36 hours on one single charge, and it has a substantial weight of about 450 kgs. These are important factors from the preliminary examination point of view. That apart, it stands out as the only all-weather military platform certified with NATO's Sena 4671 Standardized Agreement 4671 for airworthiness, allowing it to operate in both segregated and unsegregated airspace. What do we understand by segregated and unsegregated airspace? When we speak about segregated airspace, as the very name denotes, it is segregated, which means that there are specificities, that there are only few UAVs which will be able to fly in that particular airspace. So we have the airspace, let's say for example we have a particular airspace. In this airspace only few UAVs or a restricted aircraft would be able to fly it. So they have a segregation, they have a separate compartmentalization, they have a different division of its own. In this division or this area of the airspace, only few UAVs as well as aircraft would be able to fly. But when you say unsegregated airspace, every aircraft or every UAVs would be able to fly it. That is what is called a segregated and unsegregated airspace. For example, let's say there is one area where there is Prime Minister's office, or for example we have the President of India who lives in that particular area. So the airspace above it, only those which are allowed can move past it, others will not be able to move past it. So there is segregated, there is unsegregated. It is equipped with the state of art sensors, enhanced endurance, advanced communication capabilities and cutting edge technologies. And whenever we speak about these UAVs, this will be taken up by the Navy. It will be used for the intelligence gathering, it will be used for the surveillance, and ultimately it will help in maritime security, as is the significance of this UAV. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about fog in the North Indian part. So what is fog? Fog generally is water vapor that is collected in the air. So when the temperature is very cold, so when we have very bleak temperature, when we have very less temperature, when this water vapor is evaporated, because it is cold, it gets locked into that particular area. So we also see clouds as well. Clouds are up in the sky, up in the space area. So whenever we speak about fog, the water gets evaporated, and when this water gets evaporated, when the temperature of the ground and the air, when the temperature of the air is comparatively cooler, and then there is humidity, the cloud is not able to take up any of these water vapors at that particular moment of time, because the temperature of that particular space is far low, it does not get and when it is condensed, it forms thick structure which is called as fog. So what is fog? Fog is a collection of small droplets of water produced when evaporated water has cooled down and condensed. So when we speak about fog, fog is nothing but a thick cloud but very close to the earth's surface. For a thick fog to form, temperatures should be lower, we did discuss, and abundant moisture should be available near the surface. Fog materializes whenever there is a temperature disparity between the ground and the air. This happens frequently during the Indian winters. Fog is created when the temperature drops at night and in the early morning. Aerosols present in the atmosphere condense. So high humidity combined with high presence of water vapor or moisture ensures foggy conditions. What are the issues during the foggy weather? You might have seen in Uttarakhand or in couple of places in North India, because it is foggy, you do not have proper vision when you are driving. So there are cars which are going in the hilly areas, then there are people traveling in the hilly areas, then there are people who move in the northern part of India. Because there is fog, there is no clear cut vision. I would not be able to see what is happening right before me. So I am at the speed of about 60 or 70. I do not know what is happening in the front. So there might be a car which is parked, or there might be a signal, or there is an issue, or there is an obstacle. I go and hit it and ram it and hit it at such a high pace that this is creating a lot of problems. So during these foggy weathers as well as this bleak temperature and winter seasons, it is important that we go slow, because even if there is going slow, there could be an eventuality. That is because we would not be able to see. Apply it to the trains as well as to the aircraft. There have been delay in the aircraft as well as delay when it comes to the railways, primarily because when there is no vision, I would not be able to run the aircraft as well as the railways. So there will be obviously a delay. Only when the pilots would be able to see what's happening right in front of them, or the railway should be able to see what is happening right in front of them, they would be able to ensure that they would pick up and drop at a particular destination as per the timings. But what if they are not able to see? What if there is poor visibility? Then obviously there will be delay, and that is what this article says. So the entire Indo-Gangetic plains are prone to formation of fog during the winter season, as all the conditions. What are the conditions? Low temperatures, low wind speed, moisture availability, plenty of aerosols are present in the region. So because there is plenty of fog, because there are visibility issues, ultimately fog kind of situation is created. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Karnataka High Court strikes down law that give 100% quota to women in nursing officers post in military. So this article primarily goes on to say that whenever we have a job role that is being defined, it is mostly women who always suffer. But in this particular case, we also have men who are suffering, primarily because these nursing officers posts were exclusively reserved for the women. So the High Court has said that this is a violation of Article 14. This is also violation of Article 16. It is also violation of Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So if we are reserving a certain role only for the women or only for the men, there has to be that parity that has to be created. So in this particular case, there is no parity, and you are creating a separate class which is not allowed, and ultimately strikes down the law that gives 100% quota to women in nursing officers post in military. So this article goes on to say that it is not about men and women, it is more about parity. There is violation of equality, there is no intelligible differential of class categorization, and ultimately they have concluded that this will not be upheld. Now let's look into the next article. This article says under New Deal, each state can field tableau once in 3 years. What is this article speaking about? The article here is speaking about latest controversy that has emanated between the central and the state governments. Many state governments are now not happy. Why? That is because they felt in the Republic Day, their tableaus will be expressed, will be notified, and ultimately will be thrown open for the public display as shown in this article. So you have the state of West Bengal, you have the state of Punjab, you have the state of Karnataka who are not happy because the central government has not selected their tableaus for the expression on the Republic Day parade. So what is this article speaking about? How does the selection of a tableau takes place? When it comes to the tableaus, according to the Ministry of Defence circular dated October 30, 2023, each year a select number of state governments, union territory administrations, central ministries, departments send their tableaus to the Republic Day parade. So then send their tableaus to the Ministry of Defence. The Ministry of Defence has appointed one of the committee where it will have experts, one who specialized in art, choreography, and then painting, so on and so forth. So a committee would be formed. This particular committee will basically look at two stages. It involves the assessment of the initial proposals and the design sketch and the blueprint. So the state would send the blueprint and the initial assessment of what their tableaus would be, and ultimately the second stage involves assessment of three-dimensional models of the proposals. Once these are okay, then what you would have is a central government which will come up with a theme. So the theme for this year would be industrialization. So the theme for this year would be about aircraft. The theme for this year would be about freedom fighters. The theme for this year would be about environmental sustainability. A theme would be selected. So the theme for this year for 2024 is Vikshit Bharat, Developed India, Bharat Lokatantra ki Mantrika, India the mother of democracy. So if at all the tableaus are being sent, it should be on the very same theme or similar theme. What happened within the state of West Bengal? Within the state of West Bengal, it was rejected primarily because their tableaus did not match up to this particular theme. And when it comes to the state of Karnataka, there are people who say that because Karnataka was given time for the last 14 odd years, they have been allowed to place their tableaus. So every other state will have to be represented. Every other state will have to be given time. So this year, other states have been given time, but the state of Karnataka is not given time primarily because it has been allowed to display its tableaus for the last 14 years, which is why other states have been given provision this year and not the state of Karnataka. So West Bengal, the theme of it is not in line with what the central government has defined, and with the state of Karnataka, it is more to do with opportunities that has to be provided for other states, which is why their tableaus will not selected for the display during the Republic Day parade, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article says UK to send advanced naval groups with Indian forces. We did discuss about this article in our yesterday's article discussion as well. So what this article says is that UK Navy will send its personnel. They will be allowed to train with India, and they will be allowed to train on the humanitarian assistance and disaster management relief, and they will also deploy UK's most advanced naval capabilities and also ensure that India and UK's security ties are enhanced over a period of time. So there will be steps that will be taken which will be about comprehensive strategic partnership, envisaging and developing the new security apparatus, increasing the connections between both these countries, and ultimately shaping the future cooperation between India and the United Kingdom. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. If you are liking these initiatives, please hit on the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also share it with your fellow aspirants as well. Thank you for watching. All the best.